we're going to, this is where I said the assumptions and the constraints really almost flow into each other very fast. What are the assumptions, the conditions that did you ever explore that, you know, there are things here that I cannot even second guess or I don't have any information about? What were those? Even in hindsight, yeah.
Yeah. So the first assumption I felt, ma'am, was I think I assumed that she just didn't want to give the data because like it's almost like bureaucratic speech na para siyang it's too soon, but like, hey, but the boss is demanding that this be done, so let's do it. So I had a lot of assumptions also about um, even the difficulty of that task. So apparently, in hindsight, it was actually hard to get that information. Like it was genuinely hard to get that information in the time provided. Um, and I assumed that the task was doable in an hour. Um, so I think I also assumed that the person giving that data was in like in a good condition, like both in terms of the family and in terms of like health, right?
The personal
Yeah.
situation.
So I
Yeah.
think I assumed that like whenever you're here, we all have to be on 100% of the time. But like looking back, that's probably not a very good assumption. And the last assumption I think that I made and that was wrong was that was the only type of data that would support the larger argument.
There you go.
so,
Okay.
so like I think that was the other assumption that had to be the data, or that I couldn't go back to my boss with a better
Uh,
data point.
See here, Ken, you already slipped into identifying constraint. That's why I think this is a very good way of showing you how instantaneous that link is from assumption to constraint. Because you're saying, that's the only data. That's a big constraint. That's the only data, and she wouldn't give it to me. I wouldn't be able to get it. But look at the assumption. The assumption is that's the only information that my boss is referring to do the work she wanted to do. Two, that she is the only one from whom I'm going to get it, right? And three, she doesn't want because she feels like, you know, this is not professional, I need time. And the biggest assumption is the data is ready and accessible even to her. For all you know, they're not ready with the data. They needed to do, as you said, a lot of pulling together, or there are gaps, it's not verified, and she would have gotten more in trouble if she gave it to you and then your principal used it in a speech.